Boom.
Welcome back to the Creating Experience podcast, brought to you by JC Entertainment and Events. My name is Emma.
And I'm James.
Welcome, James.
Welcome, Emma.
Today we have a little bit of advice, constructive feedback.
We've got some
Yeah.
tips and pointers for upcoming musicians or bands. To be honest,
Or
it
just
doesn't even need to
in
be
general.
upcoming. Just
Yeah,
in general.
in general, just some things that we've noticed of late that are probably our pain points from a booking agent and production company. That would probably be my two.
Yeah, but they're issues that we never have with the pros.
No.
If that's so, from my that's gonna make a grab now, isn't it? Oh man.
All right, so let's go through our topics.
What were we gonna say? No, so this is advice, and things that we'd recommend.
Take it or leave it, but this is our pain points.
You know, well, yeah, but if you do it, you're gonna keep getting booked.
That's right.
And at the end of the
By
day,
me.
That's right. And by agents.
By agents. Oh, no, just people in general.
Oh, in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and some of it's pretty clear cut.
Yeah. The first one is set times. So managing, so not when I say arriving or that kind of thing. I mean
that helps. That helps too, though.
It does help. Arriving on time.
Ready on time.
Ready for your sound check,
Yeah.
not rocking up late. But having your set to time. So
Yep.
if we book you for a 45-minute set, making sure that your set is 45 minutes, I would say 50 to 60 minutes.
It doesn't matter. Regardless, whatever the time that you've been booked for,
is the time.
make sure you've got enough material.
Yeah,
full stop.
Definitely, because when we're booking gigs, we're filling time slots, and it's important that there needs to be music for those times that we've booked.
That's right.
Music,
because
and
we've got a clientele now.
Well, that's right.
While we're the client for the act,
we've got
a client that we're meeting obligations for.
So what I suggest is write your set list down, play it, time it.
Mm-hmm.
Not just time each song, time your set. Mm-hmm. Allow for some speaking in there as well, because that's always important. And I'd rather have too many songs than not enough songs. So
100%. I mean, even when you structure your set, when I used to do it
back in my day.
Those who aren't aware, I was a session drummer for a number of years, so I do have experience. I don't just talk rubbish.
All right,
I'm not just a soundy
all right.
sound guy that talks rubbish.
Come on, keep going.
But anyway, no, what I'll do is have your set and then have your encore or your main song
Backup
or
songs.
like 2 or 3 songs that's, the last chunk of your set. Because it's always easier to gauge a shorter amount of time and get that timing right. So if you know that, your song plus an encore maybe is 8 minutes. So, and then you have the rest of your set with a couple of extras, and whether there is a stage manager or you're keeping time or there's a clock on stage, that you've got to play up to this point, and when you hit 8 minutes out, then you're like, okay, well the next song is going to be that last 2 song set.
What I've noticed is a lot of the pro bands have their set list, and then they'll have a line, and then they'll have 2 or 3 songs underneath that. So that's their time. Like you said, they know that those particular songs take that long to play.
Yeah.
Or they're the extra songs that they need to make up time. So it might be, that they push their encore song to later and then bring those other songs up. But there's nothing worse than us booking for an event and it's meant to be a 45 to a 60-minute set and you play for 35 minutes.
Yeah. And the worst thing is they go, this is our last song.
And we go.
And we're like, no, it's not.
So how I do alleviate that, though, is I make sure that I ask those questions before. However, please make our job easier. And it's also fulfilling your contract because
Mhm.
majority of the time, well, all the time, you would have had an agent, a manager, or yourselves sign a contract to say this amount of pay is for this amount of playing time. So
Yeah.
if you're not fulfilling that amount of playing time, essentially you're not fulfilling your contract. Something to watch. Spare songs we've already touched on, but if you're an originals band and you don't have enough originals to cover that amount of time,
Play covers.
surely you know covers.
Or play covers.
Or
Add covers to
covers
your
into
add
your-
covers
yeah.
to your set, and you don't need to play covers as they're meant to be played.
That's what I'm-
like
yeah.
get songs that you like to listen to or artists that you like to listen to, and do it in your
version.
style.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be, that you're just going to bash out Summer of '69 exactly like it's done. People won't.
Although people do like hearing it the way it's
yeah, I
played.
know. Well, but I would say that's in a cover band scenario.
Yeah, I know.
I know, 'cause I'm a stickler for that too. But I like it when it's an original band plays
they're
the cover
playing
and they play it in
In their way.
their style, because you're still artistically doing your thing, but you're just filling it with some other material.
Yeah.
So that's easy. Just do it regardless.
I know most original bands don't like playing covers, but if you're getting booked for these kind of events, then it's something that you might just
Don't
have
take
to
the gig. If you want
look at.
if you want to be artistic, I'm getting on my high horse.
Oh my gosh.
No, for serious. No, if
I know. If it's
there
not
comes
something
a commercial
that's,
element,
yeah,
and I think that's the advice we're giving
yeah.
is from a commercial standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Here he goes. He's ranting again. He's ranting again.
All right, come on, drummer. Have your click track handy.
The next one. This one's directly at drummers, because we've seen it happen, and a lot of original bands will get caught out because they go, no, this set's 40 minutes. It's 45 minutes, and we've sort of just sat there and just watched the drummer absolutely plow through all the songs.
Yeah, and I guess at the end of the day, when you get on stage, it's adrenaline, it's a rush.
Big time.
Every time, and no matter in what setting, I used to say it even to my kids in musical theatre when they're talking and delivering their lines. Once they get on stage, it gets quicker.
Yeah, or musical theatre shows. I mean, that's I used to love it when they'd go, that was way slower. That song was too slow.
That's Jimmy's
You
favourite.
played it too slow, and I was like, well, I've used a click track for the entirety of this show, and
Yeah.
the click track hasn't changed. So,
Jimmy's favourite.
but for musicians or drummers, if you want to be serious in this industry as a drummer, you need to play with the click track and be able to play with the click track. Doesn't mean the whole band needs to, but that responsibility sits on the drummer's shoulders. Closely then followed by whoever's project it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a solo artist that books a band, I would make it a requirement that your drummer plays with the click track, because if you rehearse your set and time it, you need to make sure your tempos are exactly the same or somewhat close to for the set, because if the drummer gets up there full of adrenaline and plays everything 20% faster,
your set's done 20% quicker.
You're done. So
yeah, that's pretty important one as well. This one, sound check.
Yep.
So we try where possible, majority of the time, to do a sound check. And the reason why we do sound checks is so that when you get on stage, you're comfortable. And
well, everyone's comfortable.
that's what I mean. Everyone's
You're
comfortable. The
comfortable.
production guys.
The sound guy's comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, like, typically, you try to get a head start on some of it, but if you got a line check, like, it's a matter of, again, I'll pick on the drummers because they're easy targets. But if a sound guy asks you to, go around the drums and give them a hit, like, hit them at the same way you're going to hit them on the gig. As a band, sound check at the same level that you're going to sound check on the gig.
That's right.
And it goes both ways, because, if you sound check at one level and then get to the gig and it goes out the window, your fallback monitors are going to be completely different. And depending on the gig, like, if we don't have a monitor front of house split, and you don't have a monitor guy there. Chances are the front of house guy's out front trying to make the front sound good.
Right.
And you're like, it's going to be, a song or two before he's backside stage to get what you want.
need. Yeah.
So I would, if you got sound check time, treat it as absolute gold and take it seriously. And have a process to it,
that's right.
like we don't just do it for the sake of doing it. Like guitarists, take photos of your amp settings.
That's what my biggest one. If you're using backline throughout a gig and you sound check, chances are that those amps may get changed. So take a photo of where you had it at, and then when you come back to it, I've seen so many pro musos take a photo, come back, boom, 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 done.
The other one, actually, I got this one off Tim Dalton, is if you got tracks in bands that are running multiple track lines, is have a track setup that essentially down each track says what the track is. So it might not actually be level of like what the tracks are. So if you got a backing vocal line or percussion line or a click line, right? Say you got 3 lines.
Yeah.
Have a sound check track that essentially just says vocal track, vocal track, and then percussion, and click, and have that play on loop, because you might have had everything plugged in. The sound guys are going through checking everything. There's nothing worse than we're going through and checking everything. Go, can we get track? Can we get track? Can we get track? Can we get track? And you're there trying to sort other stuff out. But as a drummer, you can go set that all up, hit play on the loop, and then the sound guys can just sit there, check it, and then have consistent level throughout that period too. Then so people can check their ears, because there's nothing like, percussion track might kick into the chorus of something else.
Next minute, you've blown your ears out.
And you got clicked elsewhere. Or you might not get it because we go, can we hear this? And, there'll be a lot of times where like a drummer's sampled, like triggered it, and we've got to wait 30 seconds for the track to kick in. So I thought that was a piece of gold.
That's great.
Good one. That's like a smart one.
Amp up after sound check. Don't turn your amp up. Yeah, so it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think on that one too, it's also understanding the type of PA that you're going through and the environment you're playing in. Like
room versus outdoor gig.
Outdoor gig. Like particularly on an outdoor gig, if you're blaring on stage and the sound guy's got to pull you back, your amp level might not be coming through consistently.
Yeah.
Through the rest of the mix. So, where he's standing at front of house, for example, he's probably mixed it to a certain degree, but if you have to walk past that, you're not getting that even coverage because the majority of your amp is coming from the amp on stage
as opposed to through speaker.
Coming through the PA.
Yeah.
So there's multiple ways to alleviate that, but that comes back to just sound checking.
Yeah.
Or ask for a bit of guitar in your wedge.
Yeah.
I think on that sound check point too is don't settle at sound check.
Make sure you're 100% happy. I say that to vocalists all the time.
Particularly if you got time.
Yeah.
Like if you got a 20-minute sound check, use it.
Use it, yeah, 100%. When we're working with not so experienced vocalists with our band and they get to sound check and they get a bit stage fright and they go, okay, yep, that's fine. I'm like, is it okay? Because you're about to go and perform to 3,000-4,000 people and you need to be confident and comfortable.
Yeah.
So use that time, I think, is just, as you said, it's gold.
Yeah, if you got the ability to use it, and to be honest, like from the production side of things, like we make sure that we're ready to go for your sound check time. So, utilize the sound check time is there for you, and obviously for the guys out front. If they ask you to play another song,
please
just do
play it. Yeah.
Like it's definitely a team.
It's to make you guys sound good.
It's definitely a team. Yeah, it's definitely a team effort at the end of the day. And so if you got the more time you got to get it right, use it.
Definitely. I won't say what it says, but
What's your alcohol
Well,
consumption?
yeah, alcohol consumption on gigs, I guess, you know, people that have been there and done that for years and years and years and they know their songs and, you know, it's still not acceptable, but yeah.
If
I
I
mean-
refer to the podcast, it won't see the light of day now, where we talked about referring to stuff. Well, I think a lot of the time people look at this and they don't realize there's a work element.
Well, this is the thing. Like, if you're trying to make it in the industry, it's about being professional in
Yeah.
front of people and sculling a beer or doing a shoey.
Oh,
They're different. There's time and a place.
the show that's
That's it. Yeah. So
is a show piece, but there's nothing classy about the guitar player or the bass player getting absolutely smashed.
it's more. That's what I'm trying to say. Is it's more like, yes, you can do that from a entertainment element. However, it's before.
You don't even need to do it. Like, it's just more show.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, it's like you're working.
Yeah.
Like, and if you want,
It's a job. Yeah, we're
if you
paying
want to take
too.
this seriously,
Yeah.
like, you don't need to drink you can go have a drink after the gig.
Mm,
Like, do the job,
yeah.
get the gig done, make the client happy,
Yeah. And then
go
do
go
your
and
thing.
chill. Like,
Yeah.
and if you're not, you know, like, I've got no issue. Like, I get, like, we're probably being pretty serious with some of this stuff, but I honestly think that people struggle sometimes to separate.
Well, it's such a. You look at
It crosses over
the
too much.
demeanor of like
does it-
musicians
Well,
too.
yeah, that too.
It's like,
Everyone-
everyone thinks that musicians just write themselves off.
Yeah.
And that's probably
But that's happened over time. But I
Yeah.
think, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's obviously a level of enjoyment and the hobby side of things. But I think it's, as a musician or as a band, like, taking that understanding to go, no, we want to do this seriously. And, you know, if it's a matter then of not drinking at the gig or drinking after the gig, I would do that and I would put that into play because people do notice it.
yeah, definitely.
And yeah, as I said, if you want to do it as a hobby and have fun and that, great. Probably just
Fair
don't
enough.
accept payment.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
serious, like,
Yeah.
you know, if you want to do it for fun and you're doing it for fun, that's great. Don't accept a professional contract or a job where someone's paying you to do that. Because if you're, look, artistically, people always go, oh, my artistic values are this, or, you know, and it's like, well, to be honest, though, we're paying you to deliver a job.
Yeah, that's right.
At the
You
end
won't
of the day.
go to work up to a construction site and get in the Bobcat and have a beer. You get reprimanded. So anyway.
Yeah.
High horse. We'll get off. Be respectful. So I guess this is where it comes to just everyone respecting each other. There's such another they them production versus musician issue where that's the thing, we pride ourselves on not being a production company that are negative towards musicians. So and I mean, I'm probably in all the bands that I've ever worked with in my life, I could only pinpoint 2 to 3 bands that have actually spoken to me in a disrespectful way.
Yeah.
But it's those 1 to 2.
And the thing is, like, a lot of people, I mean, a lot of musicians we work with notice the difference, probably because we, like, in some scenarios, like, we actually take the time to look at the information they send through. Like, it's definitely a two-way street with all of this
Yeah.
stuff. And I know from our side of things, we always are trying to deliver absolutely everything that's asked of in the first instance.
Definitely. And everyone wants to sound good. We want you guys to sound good. You guys
want everyone
want to
to have a
sound
good
good.
experience.
And then, yeah, at the end of the day, the gig's good and everyone walks away happy. So it's just respect goes both ways. And we'll always make sure that we've got our best behaviour on. Won't you, Jimmy?
Yep.
But it does come off the back of how people do speak to us as well. So, yeah,
Yeah.
probably the main points of
That's probably, very much gig related. I'd
Yeah.
say the only, coming back to that whole, probably and we don't necessarily come across this a lot of the time because we supply the back line, but this is probably a standard point for most musicians, is to make sure that your gear is working
And bring
before
your
you
guitar leads.
turn up to the gig.
Yeah.
And have spares too.
Yeah,
like it's
definitely.
definitely like the amount of times we've had 9-volt batteries in acoustic
Oh
guitars.
my gosh. I bought
Go.
some just because I couldn't stand running around event day.
And I
But-
don't know whether it's us or it's just like, but we'll go through a run of them, and I think it's like if we have a look, I don't know. There's a lot of areas that we have. The average person had a look at what we do in a day. There's so many areas where something could go wrong, and things that we troubleshoot for, and all of that, and plan for, and have backups for. But I think as a musician too, it definitely helps to have that. So, as a drummer, making sure that your drum kit's tuned to a degree before you turn up to the gig. If you're a guitarist, making sure that your stuff's test tagged. Test tag's probably a pretty,
We haven't put that in there, but
it's not, and for guitarists and anything it's just, I've got to be careful what I say about test tagging.
just
but
make
just
sure it's done.
just have a test tag
Yeah.
on it. We've seen some pretty dicey gear turn up to some jobs, and we've had some gear, kill a generator.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of
Making
that
sure your
professional
equipment works.
front goes all the way from the point you turn up to all the way through to
Yeah.
the point that you leave.
And the last point that I'll say is read your workbooks. When I say we take time to get all the information together, start time, finish time, sound check time, where to go, who to see, phone numbers. Like, we put every single piece of information that you could possibly need to get to the gig on time, even down to parking. So if we're sending you information, please read your workbooks or your artist information sheets that we send out, because they are we take so much time to do them.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying on
Yeah.
that.
I'd say there's some last minute things I'm thinking of here. As a band and musicians, have a tech spec.
Tech spec, yes.
Like, we've sort of like got to the end, but let's jump back to the start of the booking process. Like, as someone who's trying to book an act,
I would go have a folder and have bio, promo pics, tech specs, riders, including hospo rider if you so require one. They won't always be fulfilled to the fullest, but we will do our best. And that would be probably the 4 main things that I would require. Input lists are nice to have if you've got them, but they're your 4 main.
It's input list is more so. Well, look, to be honest, I would just do it anyway, because as a band progresses, you might then start to get to the point where you have a front of house tech. If that happens, the tech will obviously probably have more of a standpoint within that. But
It's
even
just nice to
even
do.
a backline rider too, and it could just be stock standard stuff, because there is a stock standard set of equipment. I used to be pretty snobby when I wrote tech specs, requesting certain drum kits and stuff like that. But now on the other side of it, people can. Unless you're the headliner, you're probably not going to get it. But if you read your workbook, you can actually know what you're going to turn up to.
That's right.
and
So
what
in
drum
our
kit's gonna be
workbooks
there.
too, we actually provide all the specs and all the backline, what's provided.
Even my mobile number.
Yeah. And we don't provide cymbals or a snare. However,
if
if
someone
you do
asks,
forget it,
that's right. Or in some scenarios, if someone's asked for it and they've called me really nicely.
then
They've
that's
called
a
me
little bit
and
different.
they're going, is it possible we could have cymbals? I'm like, okay, sure.
There you go, drummers, if you're watching.
Here's my personal cymbal collection, because that's literally what it is.
Yes. All right.
I think that's
that'd be
it.
my
I don't.
points.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think there's
It's not
anything
a
else. It's
not a
pretty,
huge thing. It's just ticking
some really
those
simple. Some really
boxes, yeah,
simple points there.
that we look for when we're booking and when we've got bands and when we want bands. When we're happy to ask bands back because they're easy to work with. That would be
Yeah.
my biggest thing.
Yeah, and as an up and coming band, if you tick all those boxes, people are going to notice,
Yeah, definitely.
and people are going to book you.
Yep.
More and more.
Oh, and interact with the audience.
Talk in between your
Talk
songs.
in between songs. Rehearse that as much as you rehearse your songs. Rehearse your interaction with the band and the
Have some
audience.
stock standard stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm wrapping it
You're
because
wrapping it?
otherwise we'll keep.
We just love sharing the knowledge.
Or
No,
Ease
it's
us off.
it's sharing knowledge.
It's a bit of both.
Sharing knowledge.
Okay. All right,
Wrap it up.
wrap it up.
Do you want me to wrap it up?
You wrap
Do you
it
remember
up.
what the
Where
wrap
are we going
was?
to? www.
Well, you can find us
All the
on
socials.
Facebook and Instagram.
Instagram. Go
You
and
think-
like our page.
Yes, please.
Follow, sorry.
Yeah, follow the page. The podcast is available on Spotify, and the video version is on YouTube. If you need some entertainment, some sound, lighting, vision, LED screen, live
Oh.
streaming, entertainment venue, event management.
Got there.
I got there.
What else do we do?
Event management services.
Call us.
1-800 JC Events or the website. You can find the website. Google it. But that's us. That's us done.
It's a wrap. Thanks,
Another wrap.
guys.
Catch you next time.
Bye.